Let's skip the preamble. We're here for action, and I know this would come off as hyperbolic, as it should. Monkey Man is a masterpiece of expressionistic action cinema. So, may we start? Monkey Man, the directorial debut of British actor turned writer-director Dev Patel, is, as I said before the title card, one hell of an action film. If I were to name my top 10 action flicks of all time, Monkey Man has a firm position within that list. It's just so incredible. Before its release in 2024, Monkey Man was touted as a Bollywood version of John Wick. First addendum, Bollywood specifically refers to the Hindi film industry, which has its own conventions, such as musical numbers frequently appearing in the movies. Monkey Man is not a Bollywood movie. It's American-backed with added involvement from Canada and Singapore. No Hindi funding, let alone any Indian funding of any sort. Secondly, this was much more than just a John Wick clone, although we have had a number of them. On a surface level, Monkey Man has some of the tropes of contemporary John Wick-inspired action fare. Hand-to-hand combat, the amount of which differs between the two movies, cute dog, neon lighting, brooding protagonists dressed in cool suits, and long takes. Alas, these are disparate elements which Monkey Man adapts to suit its own unique story. Now, onto the actual meat of my argument. Why do I absolutely love Monkey Man? It's simple really. It's a matter of cinematography. Even for a debut feature, Monkey Man has a firm grasp on its visual style which, unlike a great deal many action movies, complements the thematic depth the narrative is dealing with. Monkey Man starts off as a film about revenge. Only revenge. Our protagonist, the unnamed Dev Patel character, who falsely introduces himself as Bobby to the character of Alfonso, so that is how we shall refer to him from now on, is pursuing vengeance against Rama, who killed his mother and burnt his village down when he was a boy. He doesn't stand for anything in particular. His only motivation is revenge. This is reflected in the use of the camera during the initial fight scenes. A point which I've seen as a complaint from some audiences is the prevalent use of a technique known as shaky cam. Not the act of putting a camera on a plank of wood and having two people run with it, holding either end, which Sam Raimi coined the term for in the production of The Evil Dead, but the process of moving the camera a lot, typically in fight sequences, something which had spawned from the Bourne Identity and was most commonly used in the 2000s. However, where for many films which use shaky cam, it was typically used in order to hide imperfections in fight choreography, Monkey Man doesn't do that. Shaky cam has a purpose. At this stage in the narrative, Bobby is unskilled, taking part in illegal fighting rings. He fights for money, using violence as a means to make it from day to day, using it to train himself so that he can have his vengeance. The notable lack of finesse in these sequences positions the audience within Bobby's perspective, fighting crudely and absorbed in the adrenaline of it. There is a lack of control. Take a look at this shot, and this shot. Oh, and this shot. You understand what I mean when I say that the camera isn't quite stable all the time, shaking frequently. For added context, Monkey Man was quite the chaotic shoot, resulting in broken bones and broken cameras.
You know, I broke my hand in the middle of an action scene. I had to do all the choreo one-handed for part of the film.
This does, quite frankly, aid to the aesthetic of the film, as Bobby is meant to come across as a scrappy, underdog figure. Returning to my point prior, Bobby's inability to fight incredibly well is also illustrated through the use of POV shots. As was the case with the shot where he is running down the stairs, Patel and cinematographer Sharon Mayer, the cinematographer for Whiplash, include these moments of visual subjectivity in order to make the audience more likely to feel as the character does. Bobby isn't John Wick, and he's not John Matrix. He can be beat. Let's take this shot for example. Bobby has been bested in a fight by the man he seeks to kill. Rather than shoot this scene as a wide, or even as a close-up, Patel instead uses a POV shot with shifting depth of field. The, at bare minimum, concussed state of our protagonist is conveyed through techcraft rather than performance in order to place the viewer directly in his perspective. His escape here is messy, unclean, and unrefined. He makes it through the chase, but barely. He gets bested. Then, one quick training montage where he learns what he needs to fight for later, the Monkey Man emerges.
And find a sort of flow. So they're cuttier at the beginning when he's not trained, and as his journey progresses and he gets better, it becomes this sort of like violent ballet.
Now, the camera still moves frequently. It doesn't remove the kinetic and frantic elements of the prior fight scenes, but it's sharper, more concise. The central image on display is not compromised. Take the build up to Bobby's fight with Rama from the kitchen to the elevator to the restaurant floor. Yes, the action is still quote unquote shaky, but each movement is more deliberate. Shots linger, holding onto the action on display, leaving the audience to see how Bobby is dispatching these thugs. He's not a professional, he's simply after revenge. Only now, he's more trained. These action sequences are visceral and brutal, and this is all conveyed through the dynamic camera work. In this one shot, the camera moves quickly, but not enough to overwhelm. The audience perceives the diegetic world as the protagonist does, taking in all the potential dangers. Then, when shit goes down, it's an explosion of kinetic action choreography. The rest of the kitchen fight, here in the elevator, here too. Then, in the penultimate fight scene of the film, the one where Bobby fights Rana, the camera aids in the conveying of Bobby's speed. Dodges are amplified by handheld movements, swerving as he does to avoid being hit. The hits Bobby makes are followed by the frame. The core underdog quality of the film is upheld by the cinematography, but the protagonist's character arc over the course of the narrative is also crucially reflected also. The fight is mostly captured in medium and close-up shots, maintaining a focus on the two combatants, unlike the more distant camera of the build-up, which predominantly uses full shots unless a particularly gnarly act is occurring on screen. He bests Rana in hand-to-hand, relying on a more skilled approach compared to the initial fight between the two. Bobby's achieved his primary goal of killing his mother's killer. In contrast, in the final fight where Bobby is confronted by Baba Shakti, the man who's revealed to have ordered the burning of the village, the filmmaking on display is much more restrained. Bobby is caught off guard by Baba Shakti's sucker punch with a knife. The camera is still, displaying everything in frame simply, juxtaposing with the frenetic energy which has been upheld until this point. It's an anticlimax in an action film where the action has been so lively. And that's the point. Bobby achieves his secondary goal, but it isn't some grand victory. Baba Shakti is a coward and, in the end, means very little when he is killed. A little adage of flavour to this scene is the Dutch angle which follows. Dutch angles, when the camera is at a tilt, convey to the audience the displacement of order in the world. It's peculiar. The sentiment rings through the ending. It shouldn't be like this. The killing of an oppressive false idol should be more. It should be an operatic fight scene. It should benefit the people. But it doesn't. It is empty. And all that is revealed through the cinematography. I hope this explains a fraction of what the camera is capable of doing when it comes to enhancing action cinema. This, of course, isn't a comprehensive look at everything. There's room for more Anatomy of Action in the future, where I discuss other facets of action scenes, be it from action movies or non-action. If you're interested in catching more of that, other discussions around film, and weekly reviews, 1 to 3 per week, please like, subscribe, and whatnot. Here's a tease for what comes next, and after that, a film recommendation. Kogonada's Columbus, like Monkey Man, is an incredibly shot film. Unlike Monkey Man, however, Columbus is more understated in its cinematography. I mean, the entire story is more understated. It's not an action movie, but an exploration of grief and moving on, told through immaculately framed images. If I were to give it just that one detail, it's a beautiful film to witness. Do yourself a favour. However, shots are nothing if they don't complement the story. Subtext is displayed on full screen in the moments of silence. It's in the dialogue too, but the shots feature the most of it. Take this shot during a conversation, where a character interested in another appears from behind a bookshelf. Or this one, where a son is in the shadow of his father, literally symbolised through the blocking positioning him beneath the father's jacket. Moments like this make Columbus worth watching. Well, that's all. Keep on watching movies, and form your own opinions. See you in the next one.